Hey guys, Wilhelm1407 here. I've been getting a lot of requests on how I build my stations in RollerCoaster Tycoon 3. Specifically how I get Peeps to stand behind the station gates, and how I get ride operators and ride attendants, um, all in my stations. And initially, I recorded this tutorial and I narrated it just as I went, but um, I kind of tend to ramble. I found out, so I just decided to redo all of the dialogue. So a lot of this is going to be time lapsed and fast forward, because it took me like 2 hours to do, because my thoughts were not very organized. So I hope I don't bore you guys too much, and I hope you guys like this tutorial. So starting out, I've got my track laid out. Um, the station is 7 blocks long, and I've got a little bit of track on either end. And the building itself is actually going to be 5 by 5. Once you have your station laid out, you want to use some brake covers. I'm using I Will Destroy You All's B&M add-ons. And then after that, you want to add your station platforms. And I'm using Stuke 71's SHR91 hanger set for the station platforms. You can really use any kind. There's a ton of them out there. Now I'm just marking where the building is actually going to be. It's 5 by 5, and I've got a little bit of track in the front of the station, so that this coaster isn't parked directly on the edge. And then after that, you want to raise up 4 blocks so that you can strand your Peeps on those blocks behind the coaster's gates. And then you are going to lower 5 blocks down 1H on one side to create your ramps. And then I used Moby's concrete floors, and I used the conforming pieces to create the ramps for the entrance and exits. And I just used the full piece for the station platform. And I did leave out some of the floor for the platform, just so I could kind of see what I was doing when I was building the framework for the roof. And you don't have to use Moby's concrete floors for this part. You can actually use Asina's Pavement Essentials if you want, or any path cover that you like that has conforming ramps. And now to make the ramps less thin, you're going to use Moby's concrete or curved concrete walls, and you're just going to put those along the edges of your ramps. And just be kind of aware where the edge of your building is going to be, so that way you don't put any on those parts. That's because you really don't need to if there's going to be a wall touching it. And then make sure you put in the corner fillers so that you don't have an awkward kind of unclean edge. And after that, you're going to put railings up on your ramps. I'm using Shy Guy's planner set version 1 or set 1, and I'm using the conforming piece. You do that on both sides. I generally like to, on my entrance, I like to divide it in 2. because a lot of parks nowadays have fast pass lanes, and so I usually use another set to divide the queue into two, and that's just a kind of a personal preference. I think it's a kind of a nice little detail to add on to your queue. And then for the actual path, you're going to use Belgabor's invisible doodads, and you're going to make your entrance and exit invisible with that, and then you're going to connect the entrance and exit with invisible paths. For this tutorial, I'm really not going to make a fancy queue line. I really want to focus more on the station. So I'll make another tutorial on queue lines another time. Now you're going to go to ride events, and you're going to select coins, station gates, and I'm using the recolorable ones. You can use whichever ones you want with your stations. Obviously, I think I used the 10-second animated one, and you can synchronize them all to open at the same time. But I didn't do that in this video. For the railings on the inside of the station, I'm using Coaster Joe's queue railings. And if you notice, I'm making the front row, the queue for the front row, I made it the longest. A lot of parks have stations that are built like that, and so sometimes I like to do that. And then I'm going to use Coaster Joe's railings on the entrance to divide it in half for the fast pass lane and the regular line. For the ride operator and the ride attendants, I'm using the invisible doodad set again, and there are two different invisible stalls, and you want to use the one that says normal. It's not the big one, it's the normal sized one. For the ride operator and this station, I actually placed it a little bit higher than the other ride operators because I'm going to build a booth around it. And not necessarily an enclosed booth, but one that is just elevated a little bit higher off the floor. And to build the booth, right now I'm just using Moby's curved concrete walls again. You can make the paths that the ride attendants stand on invisible by placing the invisible path there. You can't do that with all of them depending on where they're standing, but these three you can. And I'm using Moby's concrete floors again for the floor on the booth. And then for the booth itself, I'm using Jackie X's wooden coaster stuff, and it's got some nice coaster panels that you can use. For the stairs that step down from the ride operator booth, I'm using GRP's catwalks, this is a very good set to have. If you don't have this set, I highly recommend you get this set. You can customize your catwalks greatly with this set. Now I'm using CSF's steel I-beam set, and I'm just placing the initial supports for the roof. Now I'm going to switch over to Big Burger's timber set V2, and I'm using the 30 centimeter ones. I would like to find a nice metal set of square beams, but I haven't had any luck finding any. Now we're going to switch over to Big Burger's 20 centimeter timber set, and we're going to start with the angled pieces. I'm using 1H pieces on the edges, and I'm using 2H angled pieces in the middle. And I kind of have to overlap them. I mean, I don't. I could use the half pieces if I wanted to, but I'm lazy. And then you want your pieces that cross through the top. And now I'm using a 2H half piece to kind of create a ornate structure. 1H pieces, and then I think I used, after that, horizontal pieces and more vertical 1H pieces, and then I think there was 1/2 1H angled piece in there somewhere. I was right. And then finally, I added a few more vertical beams. I felt like it needed some more. And by a few, I mean a lot. And now I'm using Vaden's Light Kit. I'm using the first one, as opposed to the second one that came out in 2008. And I'm using the roundish schoolhouse light. I'm placing those before I place my roof. And now I'm just filling in the rest of the station platform. Now that all the framework is done. And I'm just going to add some more little details. With Station Gyms random things set, I'm using the Cubbyholes, which is a really nice little touch. And put some cubbyhole filler stuff in there, like bags and things. Another nice thing you can add is turnstiles. And Station Gym has several different ones. I think I used Turnstile quarter tile F there. And then using Station Gym's Gardening 2 set, I placed some trash cans in the station and along the queue. It's a detail that a lot of people don't put into their stations, which it's not really a bad thing. It's just one more little detail. Here I'm using Coaster Joe's Q railings again, and I'm just kind of dividing off the exit with railings. I sometimes see this in B&M stations, not always, but sometimes. Now I'm just adding a few more ride attendants. And now you can just start selecting Peeps out of your park management guests list and just start placing them on that block you raised up. As long as it is one block wide, you can make it as long as you want, and they shouldn't wander off. They do sometimes, but it's pretty rare. Usually they just stay lost indefinitely. Now that our Peeps are placed, we can place our roofs. And in this case, I'm using, I want to say, a set by Weber. It's called Traditional Roofs. It's like wooden shingles. And I'm using 1H pieces there, along with the little edge pieces that extended the roof out from the structure a little bit. Which is something that it's a little annoying, but it's whatever. And then use 2H pieces in the middle, and you'll have to overlap them because the only half pieces in the set, they are vertically halved as opposed to horizontally halved. So I think there may be some quarter pieces, but who has time to deal with quarter pieces? I mean, really, ain't nobody got time for that. Then just polish off the edges with the little edge pieces, and then your roof should be done. Now you can start working on your walls. When I started working on my walls, I started off with Shy Guys Main Street set number 3, and I used the brick walls. And then I started adding some more of Moby's concrete walls onto it for a little bit more, to kind of tie it in more with the ramps a little bit, because I thought it would look better that way. And then I just used CSF's steel I-beam set again to kind of, I used a 1H piece to clean up the big steel beams along the edges. And then after I got done doing that, I used the same set for the supports on the ramps. For the footers, I used Shy Guys Waterworld set, and I used the support footers from that for the path footers. And then once I got done with that, I filled in the little blocks we lowered halfway. I filled those in with terrain blocks. And one way you can kind of, because it doesn't have a shadow, you can sort of cover it up with plants, is what I typically do. It doesn't hide it completely, but it helps kind of mask the ugliness, the harsh edge. And for the last little detail, I used RCT3 Master 54's coaster accessories. He's got some brakes and some friction wheels. I use the friction wheels. And now we're done with this station. That concludes this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I didn't bore you too much. I'm thinking about making some more, maybe about track transfers and different things. Just give me some suggestions, and I'll try to make the next one better, I promise. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys later.